Welcome and thank you for making time in your day to join our webinar, Updating Your ISCO Equipment Firmware. I am your host today, Darrell Kuta, the Business Development and Regional Manager. I am joined today by Steve McManus, our Senior Product Support Specialist. You might be asking yourself, why do we update firmware periodically? It's because we have had corrective changes to address issues that may cause the meter to operate differently than intended, also known as a bug fix. Additionally, we add additional functionality to the equipment so that it does more than the equipment you purchased earlier, such as adding the ability to have a low flow cutoff. We've also added enhancements and improvements to our existing functions. And these enhancements are usually suggestions given by you on ways to improve the quality and the overall experience of the equipment. But best of all, updating the bin files is free, and here's how. First, you go to the Teledyne ISCO.com website. This is our ISCO homepage, and from there, you'll notice we have the water and wastewater tab in the center of the screen. And under water and wastewater, we have a variety of things that you can choose from. We have the products tab, which will give you information on flow meters, samplers. We have application and case notes that are specific to the samplers and flow meters on how they were used in certain applications to help solve problems for customers. You can also download the manuals in a PDF form. And you'll also find that we have press releases and trade show information to show you what upcoming shows that we're going to be at. And you can also select the webinars tab, and that would tell you what upcoming webinars we have, such as the one we're doing today. And now we'll move on to the software and firmware updates, the topic of our webinar. When you click on the software and firmware update tab, it will bring you into the screen where you can choose between samplers, flow meters, and it'll show all the different software releases that we have available for those products. Right now we're focusing on the signature meter, and as you can see when you're in there, it will show you all the different TiNet devices that are available for the signature meter and what the current software release is. And so when you find the one you need to update, such as the signature firmware version 1.32, all you have to do is click on it, and then that will save it to your download folder along with the release note telling you what enhancements and changes have been made to the firmware. Now here's just a highlight of some of the firmware updates that you may need for your sensors. We have the 308 analog output, and you notice they're all listed by V for version, and then 1.14 and so on. And so the other TiNet sensors that you may need to update now or in the future would be the 310 ultrasonic sensor, the 330 bubbler, the 350 area velocity sensor, and the 360 laser flow sensor. And again, when you download it, it will have a release note telling you what enhancements and changes have been made in the firmware. And now I'll turn it over to Steve McManus.
As Darrell indicated, when you download the file, it will come down as a zip file. And within that zip file is the actual, in this case, the bin file, which is the actual update file itself that will be pushed into the instrument to enact the update. There is also a PDF file, as Darrell indicated, that does break down and give you a list of the things that were fixed, improved, the enhancements that were added to that unit, and the new features. It will also include any special notes if there is something like a hardware dependency based upon that new function or feature. When you download that file, again, you will need to take and extract, remove whatever methodology is to your liking for zip files, and take that bin file that is in that zip file out. If you, again, here's some personal choice. I typically will take and create a folder on my desktop named bin file, B-I-N-F-I-L-E. I will move, copy, and paste, again, however methodology is to your liking. I will put the bin file that I extracted from the zip file into that bin file folder. If additional TiNet devices are in need of update, I will repeat this for every update that I am going to be utilizing with my equipment. I will then have all those bin files placed into that bin file folder that I've created on my desktop. You can also do this directly to a USB flash drive or some network drive, to each his own. Once the appropriate updates have been downloaded, extracted, and placed within that bin file folder, copy the entire bin file folder to the root of a USB flash drive. That is what you're going to take out to the field or to the equipment, whether it's in the field or just somewhere else within your facility. There is a white USB adapter cable that will be clipped into the inside door of the signature meter. You will plug your USB drive into that white adapter cable and then plug that adapter cable into the signature. When the signature recognizes that you have connected that drive, there is a menu that will pop up on the signature's display. This will include a variety of functions and features available to you, such as the ability to retrieve text reports from the unit, the ability to retrieve the data, and for our purposes here, the option to be able to update your firmware. If you select option number 3 there to update your firmware, there are 2 paths that will follow. One is the ability to actually update the signature meter itself. And then the secondary option is to update the various TiNet devices or sensors that have been associated or configured into that unit. This can include 350 AV sensors, 330 bubbler, the connector case, the 308 analog outputs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Each one of those devices has its own set of operating firmware that may be in need of being updated. For what it's worth, I do highly recommend keeping equipment up to date so that you're not continuing to be at risk of encountering issues that we fixed years ago, or 2, and almost more importantly, be able to take advantage of the new functionalities that have been added in over the years. Once you select the path you're going to go down, in this particular case, this would be the signature, it will show you the update file that was found within that bin file folder that you've placed on that USB flash drive. If you then select next to continue, it will begin the process of updating the unit. The first step of which is copying the bin file that we have placed within that folder and transferring it into the signature itself. Once the file has been copied over, the signature will tell you that it is in the access of doing the update. And it will give you the warning there to not remove power during that procedure. That is a very critical piece of information to follow verbatim. If the update process is interrupted somewhere along the line, the unit will be in a very unstable and non-functional state as a result. Therefore, it is important to just back off and allow this process to complete itself. It'll take approximately 5 minutes, but it could also take more depending upon the magnitude of the update that is taking place. If you're updating from really old versions of code, it may take longer because part of the process will involve restructuring the internal operating functions of that unit to meet the new update criteria. Once the update process is complete, the unit will appear to be reboot. It will throw up the splash screen and it will return to the normal operating state. Now, if you're updating a series of, not only just the signature, but TinyNet devices, it's important to do the signature first before proceeding to update any of the TinyNet devices. Once we proceed to update the TinyNet device, the order of update is not as critical. So in this particular case, it's showing you all the available TinyNet devices on this specific unit, the connector case, the bubbler, the laser flow, the analog output. And then boot code is rarely ever needed or used unless we have a problem with one of the devices that makes that a requirement to do an update at the boot code level. In this particular case, it is the laser flow sensor that has been selected to be updated. So once the device is selected, hit next. And like with the signature, the update process will begin for that particular signature's TinyNet device. The TinyNet device updates are much faster than the signature simply because there's far less size involved with the file. And as with the signature, once the update is complete, it will come back and tell you it is complete. Now, we do have other devices besides the signature meters. We spent more time focusing on the signature meter update because they are more current unit where they are more in their active growing up, so there's more frequent updates, more functions, more features that are being added. The product line is still growing. It's in the act of maturing. It's not a matured product. But we do have other products out there such as 2100s, 2150s, 2108s, 4200s, 6712s as well. Those products have less frequent updates, but there are still many units out there that have been out there for a number of years and have not been updated to current standards. And again, as with the signature, it's a good idea to keep things up to date, to have the most trouble-free and most advanced capabilities at your fingertips. The screen right here is showing you a 2100 meter. The first step of identifying if updates are required or of need is to take a look at what you have currently loaded into the instrument. So once you connect or open up the site, you would go to the Devices tab, and then the Devices tab will indicate all the individual modules that are associated with that particular site, and it will tell you their current level of software versions. In this particular case, the 2150 shows that it is at version 1.16. That is well out of date. The current version of 2150s is 1.29. This is an instrument that would be highly recommended to get updated. Other devices such as 4200s, 4100s, 6712s also have code loaded into them. And likewise, when you have this site open, whether you're connected to the instrument or not, if you go to the Devices tab, it will indicate the current version of code loaded into that unit. This particular unit indicates it's a 6712 and that it's at version 2.21. This too is a very outdated version of code and should be updated. The means of updating these other instruments is by using one of the family of programs that is installed into your computer when you load FlowLink onto your computer. And the specific program here is the Update software program. You would access this program by going to your Start button and Programs, finding your FlowLink folder in your program list of Windows, opening that up, and then selecting the Update software program. Once that is open, the program will ask you what type of instrument. You will choose the 2100 6712 device. You will tell it where you have positioned those bin files, and then you will select the Update software process. And again, it too will take 3 to 5 minutes depending upon what instrument. The need for updating these at this stage of the game should be very infrequent, but the ability is there at you for your ability. Also, there is an instruction document that can be downloaded from the website that does walk through the process of using the Update software program to enact these updates. If you have needs such as wanting to find some assistance from your local representative or distributor, if you log into our website, there is a selection that allows you to find your representative. So if you want local assistance for the needs we just discussed within this presentation or other purposes, you can identify who the local person is to contact from our public website. You also have access to the product support services group, of which I am a member, and there are 2 paths that can be used to submit your needs, questions, whatever the need is. You can contact us by phone, 866-298-6174. We can also have questions or needs submitted through our generic mailbox, which is iscoeps@teledyne.com. And we attempt to ensure that every query that is sent to us is answered the same day that it is sent in. So you should be able to get a very rapid response to whatever questions you may have. If there are questions associated with this specific webinar presentation, I invite you now to utilize the Q&A option of your Zoom meeting to submit those questions. If there are any questions that we are unable to answer today, we will be providing written responses to email on those questions. And with that, I will open the floor for questions. The first question that we have submitted here is asking, do we let customers know when there is an update available? The only product that we currently have the ability to do this right now is for our FlowLink software. If you've logged in and downloaded an update for FlowLink, there is a series of questions that we ask of you, very minimal, such as your contact name, your email, and your company name. And if you put that detail in when you're downloading that FlowLink update, when we do release an update, we will make those folks that have logged that information in, we will send and broadcast out a blast, an email blast, to let them know that there is an update available. The next question we have here is, does an update erase the data in the program? That's not a yes or no question, because it is dependent upon the instrument that we are speaking about. Updates for the signature and for the 2100, maintain program and configuration settings as well as any reports or logged data throughout the update process. Nothing is lost. If we are speaking about a 6712 or a 4200 or a 4100 series meter, the update process will erase the program and revert it back to the factory defaults after the process is complete. Therefore, it is important that we go through and download the data for those instruments before we begin the update process. There is also a warning message that will come up in the update software program when you begin that process that will inform you to remind you that data will be lost as a result of the process. Therefore, that is your opportunity to back out, connect with FlowLink, and download the data so there is no loss of information with the update process. The next question here is there a way for you to look back a few hours at the total flow without having to pull it into a USB on the signature? Was that part of the signature update? There is some means that you are allowed to go in and view information, data, reports through the signature menus, but it's not as wide open and free to do what you want to do as it is if you've downloaded the data and brought it into FlowLink. FlowLink offers an exponentially greater degree of power in analyzing your data and viewing your results and your information than what you can do on the display of the meter. But you can take a look at some of the information through the signature menu. The next question we have here, will I have to recalibrate the meter? This would tie in very closely to the question that was asked previously that regarded, will I lose my program settings and my log data? For those instruments where the program and log data is maintained, and that would be the signature and the 2100 series, that information is retained along with the calibration detail. So for those pieces of instrumentation, there would be no need to recalibrate. On the other hand, if we have a device that will lose its logged data and its program settings as a result of the update process, recalibration will be required for those units. And again, that would include the 6712 as if we have any 700 series flow modules attached, and the 4200 meters and the 4100 loggers. The next question is, am I correct when updating the firmware, it won't affect the cumulative flow rate data? None of the meter data is reset. Same answer. If we have a device that will lose its program settings and log data for the update process, aka the 6712, 4200s, or 4100 loggers, you will lose that data. And again, you will be warned that you're going to lose that data at that process, and that is your opportunity to back out and retrieve that information prior to proceeding with the update. If we have a signature meter or a 2100, no data will be lost as a result of the process. The next question here relating to updating 2150s specifically, but this would be true for any of the 2100 series, the 2110, 2103s, 2105s, 2150s, 2160s, does the bin file need to be in the FlowLink folder, or can it be anywhere? The file can be anywhere. As part of the process of going through the update software program to enact that process, you will tell the program where you have placed those bin files. So therefore, it could be on the desktop, it could be in a subfolder somewhere on the computer's hard drive. Frankly, it can be on a network drive or a jump drive, but I would recommend keeping those bin files on the local hard drive rather than a network or external drive of some sort, just to ensure that we have the smooth, efficient process along the way, and we don't have any issues due to propagation delays as it's trying to access those files on that remote drive. The next question we have here is, how often do you have these updates? That varies. It can range to 1 or 2 updates a year for more current modern devices such as the signatures, because as indicated earlier in the presentation, those devices are still in the growing stages. They're evolving. They have not reached the stage of maturity where there is very little to fix or very little to add and enhance the existing functionality. What I would recommend is just periodically jump on the website and take a look. As Darrell indicated at the beginning of the presentation, when you go into that firmware and software updates and you choose the specific instrument, it will indicate the most recent firmware that is available for that given device. If that device that you have indicates an older version of code, that's your time to install the update or proceed down that path. If the file that is indicated or the version that is indicated on the website is the same version that you already have loaded into your device, there is no need for further action. The next question we have here, the signature, can it be updated from FlowLink? The answer to that is no. The only means, or the primary means, if you will, to update the signature is via the USB flash drive procedure that was described in the body of the presentation. We take the bin file that we've downloaded from the website and extracted from the zip file. We place that into a bin file folder that is on the root of the USB drive. And when we plug that into the signature, that is where the signature itself is going to look for the update file and then follow the steps as described in the presentation to proceed. You cannot update the signature or any of the TiNet devices through FlowLink. And to be technically accurate, you can't do that for any of the other devices as well. You update it through the update software program. There is a question about, can I update firmware via modem? The answer to that is no. Due to the potential issues that do exist with modems where you may drop a connection, we want to avoid putting instruments into a coma state if the update process gets updated because we've lost a connection, and therefore we do not offer that opportunity. The next question we have here is, are these critical updates for the operation of the equipment? The answer to that is a firm and direct maybe. Not all updates are created equal. Some updates are focused on, more minor issues like, let's say, for example, in the signature, the modem vendor or the modem cellular network has changed things that required a new modem to be put in due to an older modem going out of production. If your unit has an older modem to begin with and it's functioning, the advantage of updating your unit with the new firmware would be of minimal to non-existent, because you don't have the new modem that update would be focused on. Whereas in some cases, absolutely, we could have had a bug of some sort that was resolved with the update. And if you do not update, you therefore would have the risk of encountering that bug, which could impact the quality of your monitoring. In that case, it would be highly recommended to obtain and install that update into your unit. Oftentimes, there is a lot of communication between yourselves in the field, our customers, and the support staff regarding issues that you've encountered, and so therefore we will pass information on if you are encountering an issue due to an older version of code in your unit currently that we have since fixed. So the answer to the question directly about critical updates, it is possible it could be a critical update, but not necessarily. Are there any other questions that we have out there? Sky's the limit. Ask anything. And Darrell, if you have anything to add, feel free to chime in.
Well, Steve, wanted to thank you for all of your answers and expertise on this topic today. And after this webinar, Sharon will send out an email where you can respond with additional questions if you have that. And again, you can always contact the ISCO Product Support Department or your local ISCO rep or distributor. And you can find that information at teledyneisco.com. I appreciate your time today, and stay safe and have a good day.
In conclusion, I would also add on top of what Darrell has indicated is sometimes questions can pop up into your head 30 minutes from now, a day from now. Please feel free to submit any questions that you may have. We're here to help. We're here to provide support for you on every level that we can. And no question will go unanswered. So if there are questions that do pop up 30 minutes from now, an hour from now, tomorrow, please feel free to submit them and your questions will be answered. I would also add thank you for taking the time out of your day today to join us in this presentation. We do thoroughly enjoy being able to interact with you, our customers, to support you in any way we can, and to assure that you are, basically getting the maximum value out of the product that you purchase from us.